Hi, my name's Nicole and I want to share my story, my cancer story. I had symptoms about 3 years ago. I had a sore tummy and felt grating in my intestines and was fobbed off for quite some time by the doctors, saying that it was just my age. And after a trip to America where I had some very intense pain, on my return from America, I went to a doctor after another bout of pain and was signed up to go in for a colonoscopy. I went and saw my colonoscopy specialist, and he again said that he doubted that I had anything wrong. However, he would continue the test. Upon having my colonoscopy, I was advised that I would come out and be in the same cubicle that I was in originally when I awoke. When I awoke, I was in a bed outside the operating theatre, and at that point I knew that there was something seriously wrong. My specialist came out, and his colour alone made it very clear that there was something definitely wrong. He showed me some pictures and showed that he had found a 4 centimetre tumour in my bowel and that it had eaten into the colon. He could not confirm if it was cancer. However, by the look on his face, I had a pretty sure feeling that it was. I received a phone call 2 days later, and he advised me that he would like to see me, and I was told that I had cancer. I was booked in straight away to see a specialist for bowel surgery, and was in an appointment to see him within 2 days. I had my doctor's appointment for my surgery, and within another 2 days I was booked in for a bowel resection. I underwent this surgery and was advised that I would not know until the completion of this surgery, after they took my lymph nodes out, whether I would have to have chemotherapy or not. They hoped at this point that I wouldn't, and that they'd be able to cut it all out, and that I would be able to just continue my life. At this point, I just wanted to get through the surgery and hoped that the outcome would be as they had hoped. I underwent my surgery. It was a very grueling surgery. It was a hard recovery. The first 48 hours were pretty horrific, and I think the thing that I was terrified most of in having my surgery was that I would have to have a stoma. And I get that this isn't always something that they can avoid, and I just hoped and prayed that somehow it might be avoidable. I underwent my surgery, and thankfully, coming out of my surgery, my daughter advised that it was one of the first questions I asked if I had to have a stoma, and I did not. They were able to reconnect the bowel successfully, and I was able to not have the stoma. About 3 days after my surgery, the doctor came and saw me, and he advised me that they had taken out 25 lymph nodes, and out of those 25, there was cancer in 12. And so, unfortunately, I needed to undergo some aggressive chemotherapy. From the hospital, when I was discharged on day 7 or day 8, I went straight from the hospital to an oncologist appointment, and I was still very fragile, and it was quite confronting and quite difficult. I was very unwell still, and knowing that I had a long way to go was difficult. I went to the oncologist appointment, and he advised that I would need to undergo 12 rounds of aggressive chemotherapy. He advised that chemotherapy would be administered in a port, and that I would need to have a port inserted into my chest for this to be administered. So I would need to recover for a few weeks and then undergo another surgery to insert my chemo port into my chest, and then the tube from my chest from the port would go into my jugular vein. So the healing process was a little bit more difficult than they had hoped. Unfortunately, I got 2 infections, and one of them was quite severe because it was a superbug, and one that I was not allowed to be in a hospital until the wound had completely healed. And so this prolonged my recovery. Instead of me going into surgery 4 weeks after my big surgery, it took about 6 or 7 weeks of time for them to be able to do that. I was taken in for my port surgery, and because of the superbug I had to be quarantined, and then they were able to insert my port. My port surgery happened on Tuesday, and they did not want to muck around. By Friday, I was in having my first round of chemotherapy, and I still had stitches in my port wound, and I was like, how do they do this? Like, really? And surprisingly, it actually was okay. I think with all the pain that I'd been through from everything else, it was okay. So my first chemotherapy was scary. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to feel, and it was hard work. I know as my journey went on, I became sicker and sicker after each chemo, and weaker and weaker. I know that it was the fight for my life, and I knew that if I wanted to continue life at this point, that I had to continue my fight. I know at about round 6, I was pretty done. I had had enough. I had had enough of being sick, and I had had enough of fighting. I was tired. My body was tired. And I was very grateful for the love and support of friends, and especially the friends that had been on this same journey. I knew that these were the people that I needed most, I needed to speak to most. I got that having been through this, you get what it's like. If you haven't, people want to help you, but they feel like they can't help you, or they don't know what to say. And so I was grateful for friends that had done the journey, that had been down this hard road and had done it. And so I was grateful for their love and support and encouragement, and I continued. I continued my fight, and I made it. I made it through the 12 rounds of chemotherapy. I was grateful for the journey that it was. As hard as it was, I was grateful for what I learnt from it. It is 2.5 years from that point of finding out I had cancer, and 2 years since I've completed my chemotherapy. It has been a tough journey, but it has also been a journey that has changed my life. At that time in my life, I got that I needed to change my health life if I wanted to maintain life. And so while I was going through that chemotherapy, I made some massive, massive commitments to myself. One of those commitments was that I would never touch sugar again. I knew that I needed to be healthy, and I was grateful for the way that I was able to do this. I found some amazing products and found some great things that I could do to do this. I am 30 kilos lighter from this journey, and I am so much healthier. I run and I exercise, and I am doing everything I can to fight for my life. I understand, having had stage 3C cancer, that there is a chance that I will, or a possibility that my cancer may return. However, I am fighting against it. I am doing everything that I can do to keep it away, and I am being positive. I am going that I'm going to be the percentage that doesn't get it back. And by doing the things that I am doing and by living a healthy life, I know that I'm giving myself the fighting chance.